The space station hummed with activity, a vast floating city orbiting the blue and green planet below. Humans and aliens moved through the corridors, each busy with their own missions. Ships docked and undocked, cargo was loaded, and travelers hurried to their destinations. The station smelled faintly of metal and recycled air, but that smell had become familiar, almost comforting, to those who lived there. Kai walked through the main concourse, hands stuffed into his jacket pockets, scanning the digital display boards above. He was a human engineer, used to fixing broken machines and finding solutions in impossible situations. Today, however, he had no tools in hand, no repairs to make, just a curious walk to clear his mind. "Careful there," a voice called out. Kai turned and saw Leora, a diplomat from the Tellurian sector, struggling near a maintenance console. Her long, silver-tinted limbs stretched awkwardly as she tried to reach the high control panel. Kai smiled. Leora had a presence that drew attention naturally, her movements graceful yet determined. "You need a hand?" he asked lightly, stepping closer. Leora looked down at him and smiled, a flicker of amusement in her violet eyes. "Your shoulders look comfortable. Lend me one today?" Kai laughed. A warm, easy sound that blended with the station's background chatter. "Only if dinner's included," he replied, shrugging as if it were the most natural trade in the galaxy. The humor broke the ice instantly. Leora hopped onto his shoulders with surprising agility, her laughter mingling with his. The console beeped under her touch, and she completed her task with a few taps. "Done," she said, climbing down gracefully. "You drive a hard bargain, human." Kai chuckled. "It's how we survive out here. Always negotiate for something extra." As they walked toward the station's dining area, the conversation turned casual, light, and easy. Despite coming from different worlds, there was a strange sense of familiarity in their shared humor. "Do humans always have such creative ways of helping?" Leora asked, her tone playful. Kai shrugged. "We try. Creativity is cheaper than weapons." Their laughter was interrupted by a sudden alert. A red light blinked on one of the station's monitoring panels nearby. The sound was soft, but urgent, enough to make Kai and Leora pause. "What is it?" Leora asked, tilting her head. Kai checked the screen. The sensors were picking up a strange energy pulse coming from the planet below. It was faint, almost hidden in the normal background signals, but it was unmistakable. "That's unusual," he muttered. "We haven't seen this before. And the pattern, it's not natural." Leora leaned closer. "Could it be a new technology, or perhaps something ancient?" Kai's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Only one way to find out. The idea of investigation was exciting, dangerous, but undeniably tempting. They could alert the authorities, wait for a team to handle it, and maybe hear about it later, in a report. Or they could act now, together, and see where it led. Kai's instincts leaned toward the latter. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Leora asked, a hint of anticipation in her voice. Kai grinned. "We find out what's causing it. Now." By the time they reached the docking bay, Kai had already found a small exploration ship, just big enough for 2 passengers and a few hours of travel to the planet's surface. The ship was old, a bit worn, but sturdy. Leora inspected it carefully, running her hands along the control panels. "It will work," she said finally. "We just need to be careful. Whoever, or whatever, caused this energy pulse may not be friendly." Kai nodded, already adjusting the engine settings and plotting a course. His fingers moved over the controls with practiced ease, preparing for a quick launch. The engines hummed to life, and soon, the station faded behind them, the planet growing larger with every passing second. Outside the viewport, the clouds swirled, catching the light of the distant sun. There was a beauty to this world, and a danger too. both mingling in a delicate balance. "Humans like you are always in a hurry," Leora said, half scolding, half amused. Kai laughed. "Someone has to make life interesting." As the ship descended, the surface came into view. Strange forests of glowing plants stretched for miles, and rivers shimmered with iridescent colors. There were signs of old structures, pillars, and domes cracked by time. Whoever built them had vanished long ago, leaving only their technology behind. "This is incredible," Leora whispered. "I've read about ruins like these, but seeing them, it's different." Kai's eyes scanned the horizon, taking in every detail. "And that's not all. The energy reading is coming from somewhere inside those ruins." They landed carefully in a small clearing near the tallest structure. The ground was soft, almost spongy, and Kai had to adjust the ship's stabilizers to prevent it from sinking. Leora hopped down first, her movements fluid and precise. "Ready?" Kai asked. Leora nodded, eyes gleaming. Together, they walked toward the ruins. Every step brought new wonders, plants that seemed to hum, stones that shimmered faintly with energy, and patterns in the architecture that hinted at intelligence far beyond anything they had known. The closer they got to the central tower, the stronger the energy pulse became. It was subtle, a vibration in the air, but unmistakable. Kai pulled out a handheld scanner and began mapping the field. "This artifact," Leora said, her voice low. "It's not just powerful, it's alive in a way. It reacts to our presence." Kai studied the readings. "Alive or not, we need to be careful. Something this strong could be dangerous in the wrong hands." As they reached the tower's entrance, the ancient doors slowly opened before them, as if sensing their approach. Inside, the walls were lined with glowing symbols, pulsing in rhythm with the artifact's energy. At the center of the room, on a raised pedestal, sat a crystalline object. Its light shifted from blue to green, casting reflections across the walls. Kai and Leora exchanged a glance. They both knew this was only the beginning of something far larger than either of them could imagine. The artifact pulsed stronger now, responding to their movements, almost as if it were alive. Leora extended a hand, letting her fingers hover above the crystal. The light shifted, sending ripples across the room. "Do you feel that?" she asked. Kai nodded. "Yeah, it's aware. I don't know if it's friendly yet, but it's definitely noticing us." Before either could act further, a warning blared from the ship. Someone, or something, was approaching. Kai's heart raced. They weren't alone. Whoever else was interested in the artifact might not be as careful or as cautious. Leora looked at him, a mix of determination and excitement in her eyes. "We'll face it together." Kai smiled, just a hint of humor returning despite the tension. "I was hoping you'd say that. But remember, dinner's still on the table if we survive this." With that, they stepped fully into the tower, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Their laughter echoing faintly against the walls. A human and alien partnership forged in curiosity, courage, and a shared sense of adventure. Outside, the planet's winds whispered secrets of an ancient civilization, waiting for the right beings to uncover them. And for the first time, Kai felt that humans through ingenuity, humor, and persistence could truly leave a mark on the galaxy. Kai and Leora stepped cautiously into the tower, their eyes adjusting to the shimmering glow of the crystalline artifact. The light reflected off the walls in patterns that danced like liquid, casting long, moving shadows. It was beautiful, but beautiful things often carried danger in the galaxy, and both of them knew it. The artifact pulsed gently at first, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Its energy felt alive, aware, almost like it was testing them, measuring their intentions. Leora reached out a hand, careful not to touch it, and whispered. Kai nodded. "Then we should move slowly. One wrong step, and we might trigger something we can't stop. The room was vast, with corridors leading off in every direction. Symbols etched into the walls glowed faintly as they passed, some forming patterns they had never seen. Leora bent down to examine one closely, tracing her fingers over the strange lines. "These are ancient runes," she said. "They tell a story of a civilization that once mastered energy in ways even we cannot fully understand." Kai squinted at the patterns, trying to make sense of them. Their instincts proved right. At the far end of the corridor, a secondary chamber revealed itself, half buried in the floor. Strange machinery hummed quietly, covered in moss-like growths that glowed softly. It was as if the planet itself had absorbed the technology and turned it into part of its natural environment. "Look at this," Leora whispered. "It's still active, somehow." Kai crouched beside one of the consoles and examined it carefully. "The energy is weak, but it's definitely coming from here. Whoever built this knew how to make their technology last for centuries." A sudden vibration shook the floor, and both froze. A low, mechanical hum echoed through the tower, growing louder by the second. From one of the side passages emerged strange shapes, shadows moving against the glowing walls. Kai instinctively pulled out a handheld scanner. The readings spiked. "We're not alone," he said quietly. "Something else is here." Leora's eyes narrowed. It could be the artifact's guardians, or someone else seeking it. Before they could react further, small figures darted into the chamber rival explorers from another sector. A group known for scavenging and stealing ancient technology. Their leader, a tall, armored alien with sharp features, stepped forward and smirked. Well, looks like we have visitors. Hand over the crystal, and maybe we'll let you leave in one piece." Kai's hand hovered over a control panel, calculating their options. "We're not handing it over," he said firmly. "This belongs to no one until we understand it." The alien's smirk deepened. "Then, you leave us no choice." Leora stepped closer to Kai. "We need to act fast. I can manipulate the energy field to create a temporary barrier, but I'll need your help to control it." Kai nodded, already scanning the room for materials they could use. Broken panels, energy conduits, and loose cables littered the chamber. With a quick glance at Leora, he said, "We improvise. That's what humans do best." Together, they worked with precision. Leora focused her energy on the artifact, carefully drawing pulses that formed a protective shield. Kai rerouted power from the broken consoles to amplify the barrier, sparks flying as he connected circuits. The rival explorers lunged forward, but the shield held, forcing them back with a visible ripple of energy. The chamber shook as the alien leader shouted orders. But Kai and Leora remained calm, synchronized in their actions. They moved like a team that had trained together for years, even though they had just met. "Almost there," Leora said, sweat beading on her brow. "Keep feeding the circuits." Kai adjusted a loose panel to redirect power, and the shield stabilized, glowing brighter and stronger than before. The rival group hesitated, unsure how to break through. Seeing their pause, Kai and Leora exchanged a quick glance. "Time to make a move," Kai said. They dashed through a side corridor, weaving past ancient machinery and glowing symbols. The rival explorers followed, but the duo used clever tricks, dropping energy conduits and sending pulsing lights down the hall to confuse them. Every step showcased human ingenuity, paired with alien adaptability. Finally, they reached a small inner chamber where the artifact's energy was strongest. The room was circular, with a pedestal at the center. The crystal seemed to hum louder now, almost as if it recognized them, acknowledging their courage and cooperation. Leora reached out again, this time touching the crystal lightly. Waves of energy rippled through the room, not harmful, but vibrant, illuminating the walls with brilliant colors. The rival explorers stopped, confused by the sudden surge. Kai studied the patterns appearing on the walls. It responds to cooperation, he realized. Not to threats or force. It's testing our teamwork. Leora smiled. Then we're doing it right. We trust each other. And it responds positively. The crystals pulse, synchronized with their movements, the energy flowing smoothly, almost like a dance. They discovered that when they moved in harmony, the pulses strengthened, creating a field that could repel or neutralize any aggressive intent. The rival explorers, frustrated and unable to penetrate the energy, eventually retreated, muttering threats as they withdrew into the corridors. Kai and Leora didn't chase them. They had learned something more valuable. The artifact rewarded ingenuity and unity, not violence. After the threat passed, Kai sank to the floor, catching his breath. That was close. Leora sat beside him, her expression a mix of relief and excitement. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like this. Humans, you're remarkable. Your quick thinking made the difference. Kai shrugged modestly. We survive by solving problems. Humor and brains go a long way. 2. They spent the next few hours exploring the inner chamber, documenting the artifact's responses and testing different approaches. Every experiment revealed new insights, how energy could be channeled, stored, and even shared. The crystal was more than a relic. It was a gateway to understanding ancient technology in ways that could benefit many civilizations. As the artificial sunlight in the chamber dimmed, Kai looked at Leora. We should report this, but carefully. This is bigger than just us. Leora nodded. Agreed. And we need to protect it until the right people can study it. This isn't just power, it's responsibility. Kai laughed softly. Responsibility, huh? I thought we were just here for adventure. Leora smiled. Adventure is part of it. But saving the galaxy requires more than courage. It requires wisdom. Act. The two of them left the chamber as the alien sun set behind the ruins, casting long shadows across the glowing plants and ancient stones. The artifact pulsed gently behind them, a silent companion acknowledging their success and the bond they had formed. On the way back to the ship, Kai paused and glanced at Leora. Dinner? He asked with a grin. Leora rolled her eyes, but there was laughter in her tone. Yes. But only if you promise not to borrow my shoulders this time. Kai chuckled. No, promises. But, I think we both know, teamwork is more useful than shoulders right now. As the ship lifted off the planet, the ruins shrinking beneath them, Kai felt a sense of pride. Humans could be small, fragile creatures compared to many alien species. But their ingenuity, courage, and humor made them remarkable. They could survive, thrive, and leave their mark across the stars. Leora looked at him, her expression thoughtful. You're right. Humans, you adapt in ways that others can't. You improvise, you find solutions, and you make it work. That's why I trusted you. Kai smiled. And that's why we make a good team. Maybe one day, we'll make history together. When Senseline. In 49. The ship sailed smoothly through the planet's upper atmosphere. Stars streaking past in streaks of light. The adventure was far from over. There were more questions than answers, more mysteries waiting on distant worlds. But for now, Kai and Leora had discovered something extraordinary, a relic of the past, and the beginning of a partnership that could change the future. And somewhere deep inside, Kai knew that the combination of human humor, courage, and cleverness would be the key to facing whatever challenges lay ahead. Kai and Leora's ship glided silently through the station's docking bay as they returned from the ruins. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, a calm rhythm that contrasted with the storm of thoughts racing through their minds. The artifact was secure for now, but Kai couldn't shake the feeling that their adventure was far from over. Do you think the rivals will come back? Leora asked, breaking the quiet. Kai glanced at her, his expression serious. They probably will. Whoever sent them won't give up so easily. But we learned something important. This artifact doesn't respond to threats. It responds to cooperation. 7. Leora nodded. Then we need a plan. Not just to protect it, but to understand it better. If we can unlock its full potential, it could help countless civilizations. Kai smiled. You always think big, Leora. That's why we make a good team. The next morning, they returned to the ruins, better prepared this time. Kai carried a toolkit of portable devices he had improvised, small drones, and scanners. Leora brought her knowledge of alien energy systems and her diplomatic instincts. Together, they descended to the planet's surface, careful to avoid detection by the rival explorers. The forest stretched endlessly, glowing softly under the twin suns. The air was thick, but breathable, filled with the scent of alien flora. Strange creatures moved in the shadows, curious, but cautious. Kai and Leora moved slowly, scanning the surroundings for any sign of danger. This planet. It feels alive, Kai said, adjusting his scanner. Like, it's watching us. Leora smiled. In a way, it is. Everything here has evolved alongside the technology left behind. The ruins aren't just buildings. They're integrated with the planet's ecosystem. As they approached the central tower again, a low rumble shook the ground. Kai froze, listening. The sound was distant at first, then grew louder, reverberating through the soil. What now? Leora whispered, her eyes scanning the trees. Before Kai could respond, the ground split open nearby. From the crevice, enormous creatures emerged, ancient guardians left behind by the civilization that had built the ruins. They were massive, with armored shells and limbs ending in clawed appendages. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the energy of the artifact. Kai instinctively stepped in front of Leora. Stay behind me, he said. We can't fight them head-on. We need to think. The creatures advanced slowly, their movements deliberate. They were not attacking recklessly. They were testing the intruders, assessing whether they were a threat. Leora observed the creatures carefully. They're not mindless. They respond to energy. If we move together, maybe we can communicate, or at least avoid provoking them. Kai nodded. He quickly set up a series of energy emitters, devices he had modified to mimic the artifact's pulses. Leora joined him, channeling her energy to synchronize the pulses. The machines hummed to life, and the ground beneath the creatures vibrated with harmonic frequencies. The guardians paused, tilting their massive heads as if listening. The energy pulses created a bridge of understanding, signaling that Kai and Leora meant no harm. Slowly, the creatures stepped back, allowing them to pass. Kai exhaled sharply. That was too close. Leora smiled faintly. But it worked. Cooperation, not force. They entered the tower again, this time reaching a deeper chamber. The artifact's glow was stronger here, pulsating rhythmically, almost like it was alive. Kai scanned the surroundings carefully, noting small control panels embedded in the walls. These might be keys to unlocking more of the artifact's energy, he said, pointing at the panels. But I don't know the sequence yet. Leora examined the patterns. They respond to movement and intent. If we work together, we can guide the energy safely. Kai nodded. Then let's do it. For hours, they experimented, moving in harmony, adjusting the pulses, and guiding the artifact's energy through the ancient circuits. Slowly, the chamber came alive with light. Symbols glowed brighter, energy flowed more smoothly, and the artifact's pulse synchronized perfectly with theirs. Suddenly, a tremor shook the chamber. The rival explorers had returned, more determined than before. They burst into the room, weapons raised, their expressions hard with greed. Kai's heart raced. He had expected this moment, but he wasn't afraid. He glanced at Leora, who nodded in silent agreement. Together, they focused on the artifact. The energy responded instantly, forming a protective barrier around them. The rivals tried to push forward, but the field repelled them, creating an invisible wall that shimmered with light. Kai realized the artifact was teaching them again. It was testing not just their cooperation with each other, but their courage under pressure. He shouted to Leora, "Move with me, follow the pulses." They danced through the chamber, their movements perfectly synchronized, guiding the energy to create barriers, openings, and diversions. The rivals grew frustrated, unable to predict their next move. Leora's voice rang out, calm and commanding. "Trust the energy. Trust each other." Kai grinned. "That's my kind of strategy." With one final coordinated pulse, the artifact unleashed a controlled surge of energy. The rivals were thrown back, disarmed, but unharmed. Kai and Leora stood together, breathing heavily, the artifact glowing gently between them. The chamber was quiet once more. The artifact's pulse slowed. As if acknowledging their success, Kai looked at Leora, a mixture of awe and admiration in his eyes. "You were incredible," he said. Leora smiled, brushing her hair back. Kai chuckled. "And I'm glad I didn't have to borrow your shoulders this time." They spent the next few hours securing the chamber and recording their findings. The artifact was powerful, yes, but it was also a teacher, guiding them to understand energy, cooperation, and trust. Every discovery deepened their bond, and every challenge tested their courage. As the alien sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Kai and Leora finally stepped outside. The forest shimmered in the fading light. Peaceful, again. Kai looked at the horizon, a smile tugging at his lips. "You know, humans have a way of turning danger into discovery, and apparently, a little humor helps too." Leora laughed softly. "It does. I've learned more from you in these past days than I have in years of diplomacy." Kai grinned. "Then, we make a good team. Maybe one day, our partnership will be remembered in stories, like this planet's builders remembered by their guardians." Leora nodded. "I hope so. And for now, we keep learning, keep exploring." They returned to their ship as the first stars appeared in the sky. The ruins glowed faintly behind them, the artifact's energy pulsing in the distance. Kai felt a deep sense of pride not just in their discoveries, but in the resilience and ingenuity of humans. They were small, fragile, and yet capable of extraordinary things. Leora glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. "This artifact, it's more than technology. It's a reminder that courage, trust, and cooperation can achieve what force cannot." Kai nodded. "Exactly. And if humans can keep that in mind, we'll keep making our mark in the galaxy." As the ship lifted off, gliding smoothly toward the stars, Kai allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The adventure had tested him, challenged him, and reminded him why humans could thrive in the vast unknown. Courage, creativity, and humor, they weren't just traits. They were tools, weapons, and sometimes the only way to survive. Leora smiled at him across the cockpit. "Dinner?" Kai laughed. "After an adventure like this? Definitely. But I'm still charging for the shoulder service." And so, they soared into the night sky, the galaxy stretching endlessly before them, full of mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. Together, they were ready for whatever awaited, armed with trust, courage, and the knowledge that humans, when united with allies, could achieve greatness. The ship soared quietly through the dark expanse of space, the stars streaking past like rivers of light. Kai and Leora sat side by side in the cockpit, the hum of the engines a calming rhythm after the day's trials. The artifact rested safely in a containment module behind them, pulsing gently, as if it recognized its protectors. Kai leaned back in his seat, exhaling deeply. "I never thought I'd say this, But I'm glad that's over. For now. Leora smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. Over, perhaps, but only for this moment. There will always be more mysteries, more discoveries, and more people who want what we've found. Kai chuckled. Humans like a challenge, Leora. You should know that by now. We don't shy away from things just because they're dangerous. True, Leora agreed. But danger can be enlightening, if handled correctly. She glanced at the glowing crystal behind them. And this artifact, it's more than just power. It's knowledge, wisdom, encoded in energy. Whoever understands it can change the course of history. Kai nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He thought back to their first encounter in the station, the playful exchange about lending shoulders for dinner, and smiled. Life had a strange way of blending humor with serious moments. Remember when you asked to borrow my shoulders? He said with a grin. Leora laughed softly. How could I forget? You were so confident. So human. I should have known then that you'd be resourceful enough to survive all of this. Kai shrugged modestly. Survival's just part of the package. Curiosity, courage, and a sense of humor. The rest comes naturally. Their laughter faded as the stars stretched endlessly around them, the vastness of space reminding them how small yet significant their actions could be. The artifact, now stable, had unlocked some of its secrets but also raised more questions. Its energy patterns suggested advanced travel technology, perhaps even a way to traverse vast distances instantly. Such a discovery could benefit countless civilizations, but only if it was studied carefully. Once we get back to the station, Leora said, her tone serious, we'll need to brief the council. The artifact must be protected and researched responsibly. This is not just a human or Tellurian responsibility, it's a universal one. Kai agreed. We'll make sure the right people handle it. But first, dinner. You promised. Leora rolled her eyes but smiled, her violet eyes reflecting the soft light of the cockpit. All right. But don't expect me to forget the shoulder incident. I have a feeling you'll bring it up again. Kai laughed. Maybe just once, but only if you share dessert. The tension of the past days began to melt away as they navigated toward the station. The orbital lights glimmered like fireflies, welcoming them home. Docking procedures were smooth, the station authorities already expecting their arrival. News of the unusual energy readings had spread quickly, though no one knew the full extent of the discovery. As they entered the station's main concourse, curious eyes followed them. Humans, aliens, and hybrid species moved aside politely, sensing that something extraordinary had returned. The artifact, though secured, had an aura that radiated subtly, drawing attention without overtly revealing its presence. Kai and Leora made their way to the council chambers, where representatives from multiple species awaited. The atmosphere was formal, but excitement hung in the air. They were greeted with cautious respect, aware that the findings could alter interstellar understanding. The council leader, a dignified alien with shimmering scales and a calm demeanor, spoke first. We have been monitoring your return. Reports suggest you encountered the artifact directly. Is that correct? Kai nodded, gesturing toward the containment module behind them. Yes, and it's more than just a relic. It's a repository of energy patterns, responsive to cooperation and harmony. Force doesn't work with it. It requires understanding and teamwork. Leora stepped forward, adding, We have learned that the artifact can enhance energy systems, potentially revolutionizing travel and communication. But it is delicate, and misuse could be catastrophic. It requires patience, intelligence, and care. The council listened intently, asking questions about the rival explorers, the guardians, and the energy pulses. Kai and Leora described every step, every challenge, emphasizing how human ingenuity and alien knowledge had combined to navigate the dangers successfully. By the end of the briefing, The council was impressed. They recognized not only the significance of the artifact, but also the exceptional teamwork Kai and Leora had demonstrated. Their humor, courage, and intelligence had ensured the artifact's protection, showcasing the very best qualities of their species. After the formalities, Kai and Leora stepped outside the chambers. The station's central atrium shimmered under the artificial sunlight, a quiet reminder that life went on despite the extraordinary events. Kai stretched, looking around. You know, I think this is the first time in days I've felt truly relaxed. Leora smiled, her tone gentle. You earned it. But rest doesn't mean the end of discovery. There are more questions to answer, more places to explore. Kai laughed softly. And you'll be right there with me, I suppose. Of course, Leora replied. We make a good team, even if you occasionally joke about borrowing my shoulders. Kai grinned. It's tradition now. Later that evening, they finally had dinner in a quiet corner of the station's dining area. The hum of conversation surrounded them, but they focused on each other, sharing stories of past adventures, cultural insights, and the small humor that had first connected them. The meal was simple, but comforting, a reminder of the ordinary joys amidst extraordinary circumstances. Kai raised his glass. To adventure, discovery, and shoulders. Leora laughed. And to teamwork, courage, and humor. You humans are surprisingly adaptable. Kai smiled. And you aliens are surprisingly patient. The laughter that followed was genuine, a light-hearted moment after days of tension and danger. It was a reminder that even in the vast unknown of space, moments of connection and joy could thrive. As the night progressed, the two returned to their quarters, reflecting on everything they had experienced. The artifact rested safely in the research facility, its energy humming softly, almost like a heartbeat. Kai felt a sense of pride not just in their discoveries, but in the resilience and creativity of humanity. Leora, looking out the viewport at the stars, spoke softly. This is only the beginning. We've learned so much, but there's more out there. The galaxy is full of mysteries. And humans, you have a way of facing them that inspires others. Kai nodded. I know, and I hope we'll continue to face them together. Who knows what we'll find next? Leora smiled. Whatever it is, we'll be ready. Days later, the artifact's study began in earnest. Scientists and diplomats from multiple species worked together, carefully analyzing its energy, patterns, and potential applications. The knowledge it contained promised to advance travel, communication, and cooperation across civilizations. And throughout it all, Kai and Leora remained close. Their partnership, a symbol of trust, courage, and the power of working together. Even in the vastness of space, they had found something rare, a bond built on respect, understanding, and shared adventure. And somewhere deep inside, Kai knew that humans would continue to leave their mark, not through force, but through ingenuity, humor, and the courage to explore the unknown. As the station orbited the planet below, the ruins they had explored shimmered faintly in the distance. The artifact pulsed gently, a silent reminder that even the smallest beings could influence the course of history. Kai glanced at Leora, a playful glint in his eyes. Dinner again tomorrow? Leora rolled her eyes but laughed, her voice soft and warm. Only if you promise not to borrow my shoulders this time. Kai chuckled. No promises. But I think we've both learned that teamwork is better than shoulders anyway. And so, life on the station returned to a rhythm of discovery, diplomacy, and quiet adventure. Kai and Leora, humans and aliens together, had faced danger, unraveled ancient mysteries, and proven that courage, cooperation, and humor could leave a mark on the galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of promise and potential. And Kai, smiling quietly, knew that humanity's story among them was only just beginning.